Spectrum FM.
And Tim Jeans, the Managing Director of Monarch Airlines, who joins us from Luton, I think. Good afternoon, Tim.
Good afternoon.
I know you've been very busy, so we're grateful for your time. Tell us how your day has been.
Well, it has been very busy. We started after the news that UK airspace was going to become available again at 10 o'clock. The planning team and just about everybody in operations has been working through the night, and we managed to get our first flight away to Malaga from Manchester at 4 o'clock this morning, and from Gatwick shortly thereafter. So we had two wide-bodied aircraft depart from Malaga this morning, and we have other flights to Gatwick and Luton this evening, and then further flights across our network to Manchester, Birmingham, Luton and Gatwick during the course of the day tomorrow.
Okay, listen, we've had I think it's only fair that we can't get everybody on the phone on the show, but we have taken notes of dozens and dozens of stranded people who have asked me to ask questions to you direct, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
First of all, how do you decide who is on which flight? For example, if there is a flight booked tomorrow and you are booked to be on that Monarch flight tomorrow, will you still be on it, or do you have to delay while you make up for the people who have been stranded?
No, it's important to say that if you have a confirmed reservation on a flight tomorrow, or indeed for the rest of the week, you will be able to travel on that flight. If you have no booking or held a booking on a flight that was cancelled by virtue of the volcanic ash, there will be arrangements made for additional flights, and we'll be contacting people by text message and email to make them aware of the availability of those flights, and they will then be able to book those on the web. We will be keeping availability on the additional flights only to those Monarch customers who hold bookings, who held bookings on flights that were cancelled during the airspace closure. So I hope and trust that is going to be a fair and workable system, and we do fully expect that we'll have everybody who now wants to get back to the UK able to travel back by no later than Saturday.
Okay, I'm sure that's reassuring. So basically, in a nutshell, anybody who has a Monarch Airlines flight booked from Almeria from Malaga tomorrow, the day after, later on this evening, you will be on that flight. There is no question.
That's right.
About that. Okay. What has the reaction been like? I mean, a lot of people have had been to hell and back, really. It's been an awful time, and I know you've been to the airport to meet some of your passengers arriving home.
Yes, the contrast is quite remarkable. Many people, to be honest, as you said in your introduction, been quite happy to spend an extra few days. Of course, many people in many of your listeners will have their own villas or apartments or places to stay, and it simply meant an enforced extra stay in those places. To be fair, there are many, many others who had pressing reasons to get back to the UK. They may have had school to start, they might have been teachers. I'm sure the pupils weren't too unhappy to stay off school, but, people with operations to go to, and it hasn't been funny for them, and so there's been quite a contrast between people who have clearly been very stressed and very upset by the enormous disruption to their travel plans, and those who are really quite sanguine and almost relaxed about it.
Mm. I had an email from Martin Ellis, who lives near Almeria, actually in Mahaca on the Costa Almeria, and he said, could you ask Tim when he comes on your show, are you compensated as a company for all of your losses, and if you're not, will the passenger in the future have to pay for those losses with massive increases to flights?
Well, the first point to make is no, we won't be compensated. We are going to have discussions with government about how this whole episode was handled, but that is something for the future.
Are you unhappy, Tim, with the way it's been handled?
Fundamentally, we accept that there was a definite issue with the amount of volcanic ash. The levels of concentration and the effect on aircraft engines were unclear until the science was applied to it with some considerable rigour over the course of the weekend. But there was certainly a demonstrable lack of leadership from both government and, to an extent, the regulators. There was a lack of coordination amongst the air traffic control authorities in Europe. But nonetheless, we mustn't forget that in the minds of everybody concerned with this this event, safety was our first priority, and I'm quite content that the action that was taken was very much taken with safety in mind, and as I say, it will be for a future occasion to decide whether we could have possibly got into the skies 24 or even 48 hours earlier than we did.
And I interrupted you there. Prices in the future, will they go up because of this crisis? Not just with you, with everybody, of course.
Well, I think we must remember that last year was a pretty desperate one for the airline industry. Prices were probably at their levels that they'll never ever get to. People were flying regularly to and from southern Spain for not much more than £30 or £35. And it has to be said that those kind of fares were simply unsustainable. So people I know who would have booked for this summer will see themselves paying £7 or £8 per ticket more, and I think that price, those price levels will carry through this summer. So no, whilst this is a serious event, it is not going to fundamentally change the way we run our businesses and the way we price our tickets, because ultimately we're dependent on offering value, and unless Monarch represents good value, people will not travel, or they'll travel with somebody else. So I think people can be assured that air tickets particularly between southern Spain and the UK are still going to represent fantastic value. That roughly a ticket from Almeria or Malaga to London, Birmingham or Manchester is going to cost in the order of, say, £60 one way, which is the same price as the train ticket to Birmingham. So it's still astonishing value and will remain so.
Okay, Tim, lovely to speak to you. I think you've just about covered everything, and I suppose these next few days are going to be pretty busy for you, aren't there? It's not much time for a few days off.
No, but our first priority now is to make sure that we get people back to the UK who want to come back just as quickly and expeditiously, but above all safely as possible. And there'll be a few long days and nights ahead before that task is complete.
Good to speak to you, Tim, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
That's Tim Jeans joining us, the Managing Director of Monarch Airlines. You've got all the information. Here's a little bit more for you as well.
Spectrum FM.
Monarch flights commenced this morning from 4 a.m, Wednesday, April the 21st. All customers should now check www.monarch.co.uk for full flight information and details on how to book flights and to rebook themselves on returning flights. That's monarch.co.uk.
Spectrum FM.